Hello there. It's time for Most Things Kenobi.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Most Things Kenobi, a podcast about Obi-Wan Kenobi and all things Star Wars. I'm your host, Leanne.
And I'm your host, Lauren.
Oh boy, this week is fun. This week is a lot of fun.
One of our favorite characters ever.
Yes, who's been in some of our favorite episodes ever.
That's true. Clone Wars episodes, at least. Yeah,
correct. And our patrons?
I'm never sure which term to use.
Me neither.
It's kind of
like
mix it up.
Twi'lek and Twi'lek. Our patrons chose this episode. We asked them a character study. Who would you like us to study? And they said Hondo Ohnaka. So how on earth could we turn that down? We couldn't.
He's truly one of those characters who I'm always so delighted when he's in an episode. I'm always like, oh, good. It's going to be a good episode.
He really is. And do you remember the voice actor's name?
Yeah, Jim Cummings.
Thank you. He is just a gem. And he voices, what, Winnie the Pooh?
Yes.
And the little firefly from The Princess and the Frog. He does the voice of the little lightning bug and is everyone's favorite.
Oh my God,
or firefly.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's delightful. Because I watched The Princess and the Frog, which has Princess Tiana in it. And this firefly, who becomes a star of the show, in my opinion, I said, who is voicing this? He's really good. And I looked it up and I'm like, oh my God, it's Hondo Ohnaka. Like, so
he really is brilliant. Like, he does stuff with his voice that most voice actors probably don't even know you can do.
Yeah.
He has he'll use a pattern, a cadence that is really unexpected, and it seems so natural and it's so engaging and really humorous. He's really got good comedic timing.
Yeah, so we love him and we love the character of Hondo. He just pops up throughout Star Wars.
It's kind of one of those characters where he has to voice him.
Yeah, oh yeah. There can be no substitute.
Yeah, I think they even have him voice over at Batuu, right? Like the Disney, the live action, it's actually still Jim Cummings' voice.
For sure. And if anyone has been to Galaxy's Edge and has done, I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't, but if you do one of the rides, he's a fixture. They have an animatronic Hondo, and it's Jim Cummings' voice, and it's very authentic. And I think it's great because for people who haven't been introduced to the character of Hondo, and they see him at Galaxy's Edge, you think of him as just like a funny alien species character who's involved in this ride. Like my friend Derek, who had no idea who Hondo was, he just knew him as the guy at the beginning of the ride in Galaxy's Edge. And then I showed him clips of okay, no, he's an actual fixture and we love him. And
he's
then
a big deal.
Oh my God, had no idea he was a bigger deal than that. And it's yes. So they do it in such a way at Galaxy's Edge where you're not left who's this guy?
Yeah.
He's still charming and ridiculous, and you like him even if you don't have a backstory.
So, I mean, if he's there at Batuu, Galaxy's Edge, right? That's Batuu. Is that the same thing?
It's the same thing.
I've not been there.
Yeah.
So we know he survives all the way through the sequels.
Yes.
So that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
He could show up in any of the shows that that are coming out now.
It's true. It's really true. And if you look at his Wikipedia page, it's canon now that he's a part of what's Kira? Kira is part of the Red Dawn.
Oh, yeah. Red Dawn or Crimson Dawn.
Crimson
or whatever
Dawn, something like that. So he ends up in that, of course. He's entangled in that. And then he forms, the story of him at Batuu is he goes to Batuu, which is on the galaxy's edge. It's in the unknown regions. That's where they got Galaxy's Edge from. They literally made up a planet so they could make a theme park out of it, but whatever.
Right. And then wrote books and comics
and
to
they're
go
trying
along
to
with it. Yeah.
Totally. So he's out there running a transportation company, which is really just a front for a smuggling company. So, so Hondo is doing what Hondo does best, even beyond the Battle of Andor.
I was going to say, that sounds like Hondo being Hondo.
Yeah, and
there.
I guess he was also involved in the Battle of Crate. He was involved in, he's everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
Yeah. Yes. He does. He pops up everywhere. Like, I had no idea that he had an adventure with Han and Chewie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's in some comic book, but it also has to do with Batuu. And
Correct.
I was just like, oh, okay. I mean, it makes sense. They're similar.
Oh, yeah. Well,
scoundrels.
the Batuu experience, one of the rides is you pilot the Millennium Falcon and you're taking a transport for him.
Oh, how cool. I need to go there someday.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, but it works. And I can tell you from the perspective of someone who stayed on the Star Cruiser, he's also involved in a tiny way with your stay on the Star Cruiser. So he's long after, the First Order. I'm sorry. Yeah, the First Order is demolished and oh, well, maybe not, because that took place in the middle.
Right, it's like before
sequel.
Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah,
right?
correct. But I'm assuming he makes it past that because it's Hondo.
Yeah, they haven't officially killed him, so he must be alive somewhere.
Yeah.
So also, because he sets up shop kind of near the corporate sector.
Yeah.
Originally, like when he was on Florum, and well, even before Florum, but like when he first created his gang.
Yes. Yes.
So he was kind of like working out by the corporate sector and is it Tion hegemony or Tion hegemony?
Good luck. I don't know.
Well, you know how there's like wild space and
Yes.
there's the different sectors of the galaxy. The corporate sector is where Andor starts.
Oh, yes.
And there's the possible tie-in. We've talked about a possible tie-in with Crimson Dawn, Red Dawn, whatever
Yes.
they're called.
Correct.
This is very unlikely, but I can't help but laugh at the idea that Hondo will end up in season 2 of Andor.
I would bow to Tony Gilroy if he does it. I know he's not about fan service or whatever, but I could see it be like fitting.
Could you imagine
I would die.
Cassian and Hondo together? What a weird duo.
Well, I mean, it could be practice for him dealing with K2SO in the future. It's essentially the same thing.
It's true. It is.
K2SO is the equivalent, is the droid equivalent of Hondo as far as like snark goes.
Oh my god. Yes, Hondo's snark is epic and I f***ing love it. The way he deals with Obi-Wan Kenobi is just delightful.
It's a testament to Obi-Wan's character too, because he doesn't totally hate Hondo. He kind of weirdly respects him and like just kind of deals with him and handles him kind of like Quinlan Voss.
Yes. So like Quinlan, Hondo, and K2 are all kind of similar.
Yes, very much so. Which I think is great. So
it does make a weird kind of sense. It really does.
It really does. And Hondo started his life. His mother taught him how to pickpocket, and that's where all of this started. So this poor man didn't stand a chance. His mother, who he loved dearly, because he quotes her in an episode. Ma, my sweet mother always said, son, if 1 hostage is good, 2 are better, and 3, well, that's just good business. So, thanks, Mom.
Yeah, seriously.
Hondo Ohnaka. I don't know why I said that. Momdo and Hondo. I like it. It's cute. They could have had a team.
They could have. Too bad she sold him into slavery.
That
Otherwise
too.
They could have.
That too.
Well, I didn't know that actually about Hondo until we were going to do this episode. I never knew he started. Well, I mean, he didn't start as a slave, but he was a child sold into slavery.
Yeah.
And he was a Hutt's slave, right?
Yes, he was. Yeah. Which,
Yeah.
be the best, learn from the best. You know?
Yeah, right? Well, yeah, so he was Porla the Hutt, and he was a cup bearer. I assume that means he holds a drink
I'm
for
guessing.
the Hutt.
I'm guessing.
I could be very naive and wrong about that, but
Well, don't you think it's funny that Hondo eventually has a Kowakian monkey lizard as a pal? And
yes.
the Hutts had our favorite Kowakian monkey lizard as a pal. Would you call him Sir Crumb? Master Crumb, yes.
Master Crumb. Master
Yes.
Crumb.
Master Crumb.
Doesn't Hondo's monkey lizard have a funny name too?
Pilf Muck Muck.
Yes. I knew it was something repetitious like that.
Well, he has two. They're both Muck Mucks, but of the name Muck Muck. It's Pilf and Pick Muck Muck.
They must be siblings.
Pet Kowakian monkey lizards named Pilf and Pick Muck Muck, who are voiced by our favorite, Matt Lanter.
Yes. I love that he's got such a great sense of humor.
Truly.
Well, their episode together with
Yeah.
Anakin, what is it, Dooku Captured? I
Yes,
think is
it's
the
one of my
first one.
favorites. I
Oh
love
my
it.
God,
The
it's
snark
so good.
is on a new level between Obi-Wan, Count Dooku, and Hondo. They're just a smirk fest happening on Florum with no end in sight, and I love that episode.
It's so entertaining. That's the first time we see Hondo, right?
I believe
Ever.
so. Yeah.
I think so. I loved that episode. And like the minute Hondo came on screen, I was like, I'm gonna like this character.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
He's so entertaining.
Well, he's one of those people that, like, he encounters a Sith Lord like Darth Maul, and he's just like, whatever, we don't even understand what you're saying. We're a bunch of pirates. Get out of our pirate house. Like, the audacity. It's just great. He doesn't give a shit.
No, he's not fazed by anybody. He's not fazed by a Sith Lord like Dooku. He's not fazed by the Jedi. And he's just always kind of cracking jokes and just taking everything lightly.
Yeah, very lightly.
Except I do like when the Sith when Savage and Maul come to his planet and Obi-Wan is talking to Hondo. He's like, they don't seem like normal Jedi.
Yeah, right.
Like, what's wrong with these spiky-headed freaks?
He's just trying to figure it out as he goes along. But all he knows is that he's not going to bend his will to any of them. So,
Yeah.
get off my planet.
I have to admit, I love his accent.
And we love his lair, his den on Florum.
Yes.
He has a pretty
my God,
sweet lair.
His pirate hangout.
He's got dancers that Anakin is mesmerized by, and Obi-Wan's trying not to look at, and
He's pretending like he's not noticing.
yeah. The drinks are strong, I've heard.
And drugged, some of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're shady, and they don't apologize for it. And you gotta respect that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think by a few interactions and like Obi-Wan kind of got a sense for how to deal with Hondo because Hondo is not necessarily always bad. He
No.
just is self-interested. But like he did help. Like at Onderon, he brought I mean, for a price, they paid him, but he brought weapons to Saw Gerrera and Stila Gerrera.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I had forgotten he was even part of that. So you can buy his loyalty for a short amount of time.
Well, sure.
And he's not always going to double cross you. He might, but he might not.
Yeah, he might not, but he'll be open about it either way.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, the middle name of Hondo is authenticity, right? He is as authentic as they come, not apologetic. He doesn't doubt himself. He doubts his partners and his gang, but
yeah,
never doubts himself.
And he's always looking for an opportunity, because even when his gang turns against him with Maul and they join Maul, once he shows that he's got the situation under control and Maul is not going to overthrow him, his gang switches loyalty back to him and Hondo takes him back. It's like, yes, of course. Let's go pilfer ships together. Yeah. Like I just like that he is always looking for the opportunity and isn't necessarily vengeful. He's looking for profit.
Yes, like the Felucia episode, which I also love that episode.
Oh my god, I love it. The bounty hunter one?
Yeah, where they go to help the little turtle people.
Yes.
Like Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Anakin teach them how to fight as a village.
Yes.
And then Hondo and his bros show up and things go awry and he's like, this effort is no longer profitable, and he just pieces out. like it's too much work. I'm done.
Yeah, I don't have time for how much effort this takes.
And, I do love how he says, Kenobi. He's always like, like, you're my friend, right? Come now, Kenobi.
I have to say, I love the weird dynamic of then he's also the voice of Winnie the Pooh with Ewan McGregor as Christopher Robin. So it's like Hondo and Obi-Wan back together again.
It's very strange, but I approve.
It's so great. Did you know he based his accent on Yul Brynner?
No. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He said it's like Yul Brynner / 1 degree away from that kind of. It's
I
kind of
can
like
see
a non-specific kind of Eastern European-ish accent.
I could see it.
I thought that was pretty funny.
He kind of reminds me of Johnny Depp and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, yeah.
Like
definitely.
his look, because he's got those dreads and the gold pieces in the dreads. Or at least, they look like, I don't know, Weequays have those things.
Whether they're dreadlocks or...
Yeah, I don't know.
We're not sure.
They're pieces of something, and they're... they have things. They're ornate.
Because they're kind of like braids, too, sometimes.
They are kind of. So I'm not sure if that's the right word, but did you know that Hondo went out with Aura Singh?
Like, romantically?
Yes, they had a relationship.
That doesn't surprise me. Don't they kind of reference that in one of the episodes?
I think they kiss or something in an episode.
Oh.
Because he ends up picking up Jango Fett at some point.
That's right, because he has the slave. Like, he has the ship, the Slave One or whatever it is that Boba has later.
No, it's not Jango, it's Boba. I'm an idiot. It's not Jango, right? He takes Boba.
I heard Boba.
Oh, okay, good, because I meant Boba.
My brain heard what it wanted to hear.
Well, it's Boba, young Boba, because he's under the care of Aura, and he's, like, trying to be one of them. And,
Aura that was her ship right before it was Boba's ship or something like that.
Yeah, that's a twisted... I want to ask Hondo how he managed to deal with that giant antenna that comes out of her head. Like, how did that work? What is that antenna? It's
poke
crazy.
your eye out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does she have like a chip in her brain or something where she could communicate? I don't know.
It just seems awfully long. I would have trimmed it back or had it telescoping like the 90s cell phones. Not cell phones, but like the Zach Morris phone where the antenna pulls out and then you can push it back in. That would be the ideal Aura Singh telescoping antenna. In my opinion.
I like it. So he ends up in Rebels also, right?
Yes, he does.
He's in there with...
Now, truth be told, he kind of annoyed me in Rebels because it was like too much.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
To pepper him and sprinkle him in is one thing, but like it was a little over the top. It got a little over the top for me in Rebels. I was happy to see him.
I was too, but it felt almost like he had a different writer, so he was kind of like overwritten. Whereas in Clone Wars, I think they kind of like, I think Jim Cummings brought a lot to the character that wasn't necessarily on the page.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I felt the same way that the Rebels was a little bit much.
Or maybe it was just the fact that he was kind of hooked up with Ezra the entire time, and Ezra annoys me anyway. So maybe it was just a side product of like Ezra being in the scene.
Same. Yeah, I know. I felt the same. We have the same opinion, I think.
We
about
do.
Ezra.
We do.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody who loves Ezra and Rebels.
Oh, we can still love Rebels. We don't have to like everyone in it.
Yeah. Hopefully he'll win me over more as an adult. I'm assuming he's an adult in the, what is it, the Ahsoka show or whatever he's in? Because I did not like him as a child. I have no patience for annoying teenagers like that.
No, I hope he grows up a little between the time that we last saw him with the whales. I'm still stuck on the whales. I mean, he was with what's his name? I almost said Tarkin, but you know, same thing.
Thrawn. Yeah.
Thrawn, Tarkin, Tease. I'm guessing he had to have, you know, grown up a little bit.
Yeah, like I need to rewatch the end of Rebels. I don't really remember why Ezra is with Thrawn.
Fancy you bringing this up. Hondo did some good things in Rebels to get them to finally win back Lothal. So he was in on it in a positive way.
That's right, he did. He helped there. I don't remember what he did. I just remember that he was there. I only watched Rebels once.
Yeah, I'm trying not to spoil it too, but
yeah,
he was involved positively, we'll say.
When did it come out? Wasn't it like 10 years ago?
Yeah, it's hard for me to remember all the details.
Yeah. Plus, if you haven't watched it by now, come on.
That's true. That's true.
Get on it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I'm behind on some stuff. I shouldn't talk. I finally just watched Bad Batch the other day.
Well, you're farther than me. I don't have Disney Plus and I won't get it. I'm paying it 1 month at a time when all of the shows are done, and I'm just going to watch all of them at once. It's what I did with HBO Max with White Lotus. Any White Lotus fans out there? Yeah, I just bought it after the season was over and got 1 month out of it and just binge watched. It's all I can do. I can't pay for all these streaming services right now.
I know. They're just, everybody is a streaming. Everyone is a subscription now, no matter what.
Yep.
It's insane. It's almost like Hondo Ohnaka is running everything everywhere.
Oh! For a price, you can have this show. I will help you stream it. Did you know that Hondo was involved with Chirrut Imwe?
I didn't know. I did not know that until today. It was the first time I knew it. I assume that was in a comic?
I believe so. Yeah, he fights Chirrut to secure some items from Jeddah. Because, you know, always looking to make a buck.
Yeah. Why not? Who is he working for when he did that?
Well, okay, so this is after the Galactic Empire, right? Mm-hmm. The Ohnaka gang fell apart, disbanded by the Imperials. Mm-hmm. So he continued on his own, and he antagonized a clan, which then led to, I think this all ties into, because he ends up meeting Doc Ondar, which is a fixture in Batuu and Galaxy's Edge. Mm-hmm. He's the one that sells all the lightsabers and, like, you know, pieces from across the galaxy, aka
so it's almost
souvenirs.
Like an antique dealer, or like an archaeologist or something like that.
Yeah. So all of this is, he was collecting statues made of kyber crystals to assist Doc Ondar and all of this stuff. And of course, Chirrut's there trying to defend the damn thing, because we love Chirrut in this house.
We do. He's one of the best. Oh my god. Who won that fight?
Well, it seems that Doc Ondar convinced Chirrut to let them leave with the statue in question. So,
really?
Yeah.
I want to read that comic. I've wanted to read all the like Rogue One adjacent stories because I love the Guardians of the Whills. I love them. Yeah, he just shows up in all parts of Star Wars, basically. They kind of, I mean, he was even in the whole thing with Kira. That was one of those shorts, right? The like little short.
Yeah, the Forces of Destiny.
Thank you. Yes.
Which I really love the art of, but I still am not over the fact that Anakin looked the way he did. Everybody looked so good, and then for some reason Anakin looked like that hair on him is just too much. What happened?
It was roller brush blown.
It was the Chewbacca Brazilian blowout, and he got a dye job because it was far blonder than I've ever seen Anakin's hair.
Yeah.
It was just a mess. Anyway, but I do love Forces of Destiny. I loved those little shorts, and I loved the art.
I did too. They were funny because they started out as they were supposed to be just about the female characters.
Correct.
Like I remember when they first announced it, and then they kind of ditched that eventually and started incorporating all the characters into it.
Yeah, because I love the Luke one. Luke and Yoda.
I love it. Oh my god, I love that Mark Hamill voiced
Yes.
Luke again.
I know,
thought
it
that
was
was
great.
so nice. I liked that one in particular.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And then Hondo shows up in one with Kira. They got some with Rebels in them, and it was a good series.
So, and I'm just looking through really quick. It says this one with Kira, it's on the streets of Ord Mantell, right? And
Oh.
that's where Han says in Empire Strikes Back that he's going to go pay off Jabba the Hutt because they ran into a bounty hunter on Ord Mantell.
Oh, was it him?
So, wouldn't that be funny?
Could it be
The
him?
IG-88 that he was with, maybe? I don't know. I think it's before that. So it's like 13 BBY.
Okay.
So,
Well,
it's before that, but yeah, because
headcanon.
but it's interesting because Ord Mantell shows up a couple of times. Like it's referenced and it's in like an audio drama that they have and everything, but we've never seen it, I guess, until this little tiny animated short. So I love how Star Wars is so vast.
It really
You can
is.
just like pick whatever you need out of this giant collection of information and just like pick a planet, and now I need a droid, pick that, and like you could just cherry pick whatever you need whenever you need it to tell a story.
It's really true. Shit. I mean, maybe I'm in a very small camp of people that think this, but I really wanted to see more Kira. Not just because I love Amelia Clarke in general, but she seems like a multifaceted, onion-layered type of character that we need to know more, and we just, like, got nothing. But wouldn't it be interesting if Hondo and hers escapades continued in some way? I think that would be funny as hell.
I think it'd be awesome. Plus, they set up the end of Solo to imply there was more coming.
Yeah, and we got blue-balled.
Yeah. I mean, it's not our fault. It's their fault that they told a boring story. But
Right.
I will say, and like major spoilers, so if you haven't seen Solo, stop here for just a moment. But like, Maul at the end talking to Kira, and then they never come back to that.
That's kind of
like-
huge, and we need a continuation.
Yeah.
We just did a bunch of Maul episodes talking about what a fixture and like how he just goes back from the beginning and how he transformed a character like Kenobi into something with more layers, and you know, he's an important part of the Star Wars story in general. And then like to be to be cut off at the legs at the end of Solo, a Star Wars story, and we don't get the rest. I mean, I guess it's kind of appropriate because his
it's
metal
100%.
legs. Sorry,
God.
Maul.
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge setup that went nowhere.
I know, I want to know more.
Well, and now, like, theoretically, we could, right? With, like, all the projects that Filoni has going on, and there's new animation, there's new live action, there's a possibility that they will wrap up what they started with Solo. They'll wrap it into something, like, maybe even in Bad Batch or Andor somehow. It'll come into play. You never know.
This is totally not going to happen, but what if he were to show up and him and Ahsoka reunite on the Ahsoka show? Because bounty hunters and smugglers have a lot of information, so
Yes.
she could have a
Oh my
brief
God.
interaction with him. I'm
You're talking about with
sure-
Hondo? Or
Yeah,
with
with
Maul?
Hondo. No, with
That
Hondo.
would be so great.
Because
Because the last time they saw each other, wasn't that when he, like, kidnapped her and was going to sell her?
yes, a beautiful female Jedi can go for quite a price, or whatever he says. Like,
Oh, yeah. So wrong.
I know it's so wrong. Poor Ahsoka. Good God.
Yeah.
Anyway, that would be
a great reunion.
just
That
a
would
little,
be great.
just a little tiny scene. Like, I need information. Oh, it's you. Oh, you survived. Blah, 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 you know, stuff like that.
Oh my god, I love it. The up, 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 up.
Oh well, Chopper moment.
Oh my god, yeah, I guess it is Chopper, but Hondo has his own like version of Chopper.
Yes, he does.
Idioms and like waving his arms around.
He does. That's why he reminds me of Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean
Yes.
because he's always waving his arms.
Gesticulating.
Yeah.
Yes.
So good.
Oh.
So let's just for the fun, just to end this episode, what are your 3 favorite things about Hondo?
Oh my god. I mean, like I said, I love his accent and his like charm and wit. That all kind of like ties together for me.
Yes.
He's also fucking hilarious.
Yes.
Insolence. We don't even know what that means.
Yeah. We're pirates, for God's sake. Like, you expect us to know what that word means?
And also, I love that he's like oblivious to fear in a sense. Like, I wish I could be more like him. He's just not intimidated by stuff. And I think that is actually a really fun character because you can put him in all sorts of situations and keep it light, keep some levity there. And yeah, I love Hondo. What about you?
I love Hondo. I would have to say everything that you said, but I love his authenticity. He is who he is. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't apologize. But you know exactly what you're getting when you're with him. When you're with him.
Yeah.
I guess for some reason I can't speak on a podcast. But he's just who he is. And I kind of dig that.
Yeah.
He's everything from good to slime ball, you know, and that's just it. I love his relationship with Kenobi. It's probably my second favorite thing. He has a little bit of love for the Jedi, but a little bit of not love for the Jedi. And I think it's reciprocated equally by Obi-Wan himself. And I just love his look. It's ridiculous.
Yes. His coat.
Yeah.
I love it. And it's got like armor, but also beautiful fabric.
Got like a helmet and some sunglasses, you know? He's like Bono. He wears the sunglasses at all times. Like, because it's cool. Somebody probably told him in the past, you look good with glasses. And he's like, you know what? I'm never taking them off.
Yeah.
So
Gonna live in these.
he wears them. That's it. So those are my favorite things.
He's such a delightful character. I'm so glad that they incorporated him into Clone Wars. It was so needed. We needed the humor.
Yes, and he made it to the end. He's one of the ones that made it to the end, and we love him for it. So we told you our 3 favorite things about Hondo, and we want to know what your 3 favorite things are. And in fact, we'll probably run a poll on our social media sites to ask the general masses. But go ahead, let us know on Instagram or Twitter or YouTube for that matter, what your 3 favorite things about Hondo are.
Join us back here next week. We are doing an interesting, completely different kind of episode. It was actually a suggestion from one of our listeners. They sent us an email and we thought it was so good we wanted to do it. We are going to discuss entrances of some of our favorite characters, how they come on screen the first time, and maybe even we'll discuss the difference between the first time we see them and the last time we see them.
Yes.
We'll talk about dramatic entrances, stuff that really sticks out to us, because there are a lot of epic entrances in Star Wars. So join us back here next week for that.
Thank you so much for joining us here on the Most Things Kenobi podcast. We appreciate every single one of our patrons and are grateful for your support. In fact, we just got a handful more, so thank you so much. If you would also like to support the podcast and become a patron as well, head over to the Most Things Kenobi Patreon. As always, you can follow us on Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and all the other social media outlets. And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast player. If you enjoy our podcast, feel free to rate us on Spotify and Apple. That always helps us. And if you need one place to find all of these, head over to mostthinkskenobi.com.
So until next time, my space twin, may the Force be with you.
Always.